stars they wept, the morning sun was dead, the Savior of the world was fallen, his body on the cross, his blood poured out for us, the weight of every curse upon him, one final breath he gave as heaven looked away. The Son of God was laid in darkness, a battle in the grave, a war on death was waged, the power of hell forever broken. The ground began to shake, the stone was rolled away, and perfect love could not be overcome. Now death, where is your sting? Our resurrected King has rendered you defeated. Forever he is glorified. Forever he is lifted high. Forever he is risen. He is alive. Sing, he is alive. Oh, the ground began to shake, the stone was rolled away, his perfect love can never be overcome. Now death, where is your sting? Our resurrected King has rendered you defeated. Forever he is glorified. Forever he forever He is glorified. Forever sing to His name is true. Forever He is risen. He is alive. He is alive. He is alive. Hallelujah. Jesus, we thank you for the cross. We thank you for what you have done for us, Lord. Lord, there's no one like you, Lord. There's no one but you that we want in our lives, that we want guiding us, Lord, that we want at the center of our lives, Father. Lord, we give you all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise that is due to you. Sing Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. And from beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Jesus. Sing Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. From beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Jesus, and nothing else matters. Nothing in this world will do. Oh, on with you, Jesus, you're the center. Everything revolves around you. Jesus, you at the center of it all. Sing Jesus, be the center of this church. Sing Jesus, be the center of this church. Every knee will bow, every tongue shall confess you, Jesus. Jesus, nothing else matters. No, nothing in this world will do. Yes, Lord. So Jesus, you're the center. Everything revolves around you. Jesus, you sing from my heart to the heavens. Jesus, be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. Sing from my heart to the heavens. Jesus, be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. Sing out my heart to the heavens. Jesus, be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. From my heart to the heavens. Jesus, be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. 'Cause when the music fades, all is stripped away, and I'm simply come, longing just to bring something that's a word I will bless your heart. Oh Lord, I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. Oh, and you search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. Yes, it's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I've made, but it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. Yeah, it's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. And it's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus.
Let's all just take a minute between you and the Lord and pray. Lord, it's all about you. It's not about us. It's not about us, Lord. It's all about you, Lord. These ups and downs of this term, the struggles, the challenges, the victories, and the difficult times, Lord. It's easy for us to focus on ourselves. And Lord, we choose to end the semester strong, remembering that it's all about you. Come, Lord, now and visit each one of us, Lord. Give us the food that you know that we need this morning. To be renewed and refreshed, to finish this semester strong, remembering your faithfulness through it, no matter the challenges. You're the center of our life, not us, Lord. So, Lord, we thank you. We ask, Lord, that you anoint these testimonies and that your name be glorified in them. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Everyone said? Amen. Amen. Go ahead and take a seat. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. As tradition, let's go on for announcements. As was already mentioned, today is the last official Sunday, but we will be having church next week as well. I know some of us won't be gone, but for those that are still here, there's still church. Just as a heads up. We'll mention that again at the end. CSA Kids, there's a small change for today. It's in David Brown Hall, not in Annex 1, and not in Bourne, just in case anyone heard either of those. It's not David Brown Hall today, just in case. Okay. Bible studies, everything is done except for SO Bible study and Friday Bible study. Grace Unraveled is going to be going till the, where am I looking? Does it say? Friday? Grace Unraveled is still going, I think, till the 21st. Okay. Greece support group last meeting tomorrow. Okay, I think I covered them. Yeah, Wednesday prayer. It'll still be Wednesday prayer. This Wednesday, is this the last Wednesday? Or are we still going? Still going. This will be going on. That was Gabby. All right, solid. Still going. Yeah, and as our tradition, we have a donation drive that we do at the end of every term. So again, as usual, we're having it. The deadline for dropping off your things is going to be the 20th of May, which is not this Monday, the following Monday, at 8 a.m., because that's when the stuff will be picked up. And literally, guys, like, we'll take anything. Like, even, like open bottles of oil, like, even things like that, like, will be taken. Like, kitchen supplies, bedding, just not textbooks, but yeah, we get a lot of textbooks we will not, yeah, they just sit there. We have a pile, and I think the pile's like this high. Prayer cards at the back, if anyone wants prayer. CSA t-shirts, better late than never, if you want to get them. We have an Instagram page, CSA, what's that, underscore. Okay, sorry. Like I said, there's church next week, and I think that's all the announcements that I have. So, it's a special Sunday because we get to hear some testimonies. Now, is that a squeal? Yeah, Vanessa, okay. Traditionally, we've had 3, maybe 4, and usually we go over time. But this time we said 5 minutes sharp, and we have 6 people. So we're going to be on the money with this one. I'm going to put a little counter timer, and we'll be good. So I'll introduce the first person. The first person I had is Naomi Johnson. Naomi was just up there. Come back up, Naomi. Naomi, I was told you want to go first because you have an OSCE, so I end service. So yeah, so come on up.
Good morning again, CSA. So I'm very unprepared. This page has barely anything on it. So I don't know about the 5 minutes thing, but can I get 5 West Indian minutes? As I said, my name is Naomi. Team 5, by God's grace I made it here. My testimony, I don't have this, grand, exciting, like, coming to Christ from the world testimony. I grew up in church, was raised in church. I was singing since I know myself. Before I get into this, I'm not a public speaker. I'm not a good public speaker. And I don't cry. If you hear my voice breaking and water coming from my eyes, it's just allergies. It's just allergies. So yeah, as I was saying, I was raised in church, and for all those who were raised in church, you know that you are basically classically conditioned to love Christ. If anybody who was raised in church, you understand what I mean? Like, your parents say, this is Christ, you love him, he will love you, things will be good. But there's a point in time in your, whatever stage you're in life, that you need to form an actual relationship with Christ. Amen? So, sometimes there's a tie linking you to Christ. For me, that tie was my grandmother, and in 2015, unfortunately, she passed, and I was very angry with God. But I still went back to church. I stopped going for like 2-3 weeks, but I went back because of classical conditioning. I know I was supposed to go to church, right? But my relationship with God, I would say, was stagnant, because I wasn't running away per se, but I wasn't running towards him. I was not seeking him as I should. And so I fast forward, this is the break before we come back for term 3, and I'm sitting in my home church, and my bishop is preaching, and it pressed on my heart that I need to press into God, and to do that I need to get down in the word, which is a big challenge for me to sit and have the concentration. I have attention deficit, if you realize. I move a lot. So to sit and read the word and to understand was my challenge, and to know God better, I needed to get down in the word. So I started doing that. I started reading and understanding, and I was like, yes, this is what. I felt closer because I was getting down there, and I was so positive. I was like, yes, positivity. And then I came back here. I came back here for term 3, and I came with that positivity. I was like, yes, we got term 3, term 4, yes, man, I can do this. And then halfway through term 3, I start feeling very demotivated, unusually demotivated. I'm getting tired and not myself. It's weird and I can't explain it because my grades were fine. Like, it's hard to explain to someone what you're going through if your surroundings aren't reflecting it. Nothing was wrong with me that had me feeling this way, but I was still feeling it. But I was like, you know what, brush it off. And I was that kind of prideful person. If you just put the feelings in a box, put the box away, you don't need to address it. So, did all of that, got through term 3, I was like, devil, what? Okay. Term 4 started. And I don't want to ruin term 4 for anybody, you know? But, you want me to tell the truth?
Yes.
For me, term 4 was the lion's den. Term 4 was the fiery furnace. It was the valley of the shadow of death. And this wasn't only like, term 4 was heavy, you know, but I started term 4 and I remember like before the first exam, note well, I'm like on the anxiety spectrum. Anxiety is here and I am on grammar and speech. I'm so never an anxious person. I'm very, you know, chill all the time. But the weekend before our first exam, I am sitting in Taylor and I'm reading and nothing is coming to me and I start hyperventilating. I can't breathe. I had to run out because I thought I was like going to die. And I got outside, I realized I was having a panic attack. And if anybody, I want to tell anybody who's like ever felt that going through anxiety, you go through panic attacks, you have any of these sort of things, reach out to someone, please. Please do immediately, address it immediately. But it was so scary to me. And I continued going through for a little while, dealing with anxiety, and my calmness, my peace was my strength. And when the devil attacks you, I was telling you to emphasize this, when the devil attacks your weaknesses, that's expected. It's expected, you know, to jab at you when you're down. But when your strengths are under attack, it's a different sort of distress that you feel. And there's a helplessness that comes with it. And so I want to share with you how this resolved. So a lot of changes had to happen in me. Firstly, I had to admit that I had a problem. That was my pride held me back. And I know a lot of people come from like prideful families and cultures and everything. Like, we don't talk about our emotions, we don't talk about our feelings, we put it to the side, you waste a little time, you get over it, get back to life. But and in Proverbs it says, like Proverbs 16:5, the Lord detests all the proud of heart. And it was a struggle for me, but I had to get over that pride and I had to admit to myself, admit to somebody else that I had a problem and I needed help. And so the first people I reached out to was actually Leon and Adinia. And, you know, I talked with them, I felt good after, I felt confident after. And then I went back in the next exam with the confidence, and then my grades started suffering. And I was like, God, what is happening? And usually, if I am in distress, I cocoon myself. I don't want to come to church. I could use that hour to sleep. I could use that hour to study. I could use that hour for anything else. And then you have to get to and from campus. So many things that I usually use as a reason for not coming to church. But I didn't do that last semester. I came here. And every single time that I came here, I got something that I needed. And every single time that you come here, there's something that you will need. And it's up to you to pick it up. So my grades are suffering right now in Timbo. I am in emotional and mental distress that I can't handle. And here comes Sylvester talking about idolizing this degree. He asked at the point in time, if you had to give up your degree, this medical degree, to serve God, would you? And at the point in time, I was like, because that's where my relationship was at with him. And when I say every single person had a word for me, David, I see you creeping up. I clung to CSA. I was in every service. I was in Bible study. The only thing I didn't go to was men's Bible study. Literally. And I've been in church all my life, I've never experienced fellowship like this, right? People here will love you if you let yourself be loved. If you let yourself be vulnerable, if you open yourself up, you will be loved here, right? And the fellowship that is here is so non-judgmental, so non-understanding, because like negative evaluation, what? We don't like that. We as humans don't like that. And so I want to encourage every lower timber, even the vibes, we still have a couple days here. Like, we don't know what God is going to do. We don't know where He's going to guide us. But use the resources we have at hand. All the advisors here, all the members of the congregation, because I was a shutout. I come in, I slip in the back, I take what I have to take, and I leave. I didn't yearn for fellowship. I didn't yearn to friendship here. And now God has surrounded me with so much love, so many people that is going to support me throughout this journey, that I am so entirely grateful for Him. I'm done. What I was trying to get to, CSA, is to impression is to cling to God. Amen. Fellowship. When you come here, fellowship. If you're in need, reach out. Amen. I think I'm done.
Thank you. Oh, wonderful. Rosemary, where you at, Rosemary? Come on up. And if you know you're going to be sharing this morning, come close so that we can quickly.
I got a timer here, but I don't want to have David come up and stop me. All right. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to anybody who's a mom. All right. So who here is term 4 right now? Who's term 4? Are y'all feeling it? Are y'all feeling it? I'm glad Naomi talked about her term 4 experience, because I also have a term 4 experience. Not to scare y'all, but term 4 is for real. So, term 4 was very not nice for me. Let me tell you what happened. So, get to term 4, just finished term 3, we get like a weekend of break. Like, it was gonna be amazing. Get to term 4, I study the way I always studied, and I thought, okay, this is fine. Get to the first exam, take the first exam, passing is a 70, I get a 65. But I'm like, it's the first test, I can throw that one away, make it up for the next one. I didn't get, that email that we're supposed to get if you don't pass the test? Okay, I was waiting for that email, I didn't get it, so I was like, okay, I'm fine. So go on to the second exam. Before second exam, I went to DES, I went to academic advisors, all the smart people I know, I asked them what they do. I changed up the way I studied entirely for the second exam. I went into the second exam being like, yeah, this is gonna be great. Well, what do I get? I do better on the second one. I get a 66. And so, okay, so I get a 66, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I get that dreaded email from the academic advisor saying, come in for a meeting. So I go, and like we talk, and it's a nice meeting, like it was very nice. But we couldn't. No, it was a nice meeting. Our course structure was very, very nice. But we couldn't, like, of all the questions she asked me, we couldn't actually pinpoint a problem. Like, we couldn't, like, there was no definitive problem that I was having with academics. So we make a plan, go back to DES, go back to other academic advisors, go ask different smart people about what they've been doing. And once again, I entirely changed the way I study, entirely changed the way I study. Third exam comes around, what do I get? Who said 65? Oh, see, you're being too nice to me. It was another 65. And at this point, I'm sure you might feel the frustration. I am beside myself. I am like, what is happening? And the thing is, during this time, there's a second part to this story. So, 1, 2, 3 exams, I failed. And with almost the exact same grade. I can't figure out what's going on, what will work, what's not working. But I was completely ignoring the spiritual side of my life. So back up to around term 2. I guess since I've been in Grenada, especially like coming to CSA, my relationship with God has transformed tremendously. And so it's gotten to the point where me and God, we talk, like how you would talk to a parent, like we talk. And during our talks, God gives me rules. He gives me just different codes to live by. And you know how your parents tell you not to do something, but then sometimes you're hard-headed and you do it anyway? Okay, that was me. So God gave me very specific rules. Don't do this. You can do this. You can't do that. You can go here. You can't go there. He told me flat out straight. But me being my hard-headed self said, why can't I do so-and-so? Like, why can't I go here? Why can't I listen to this? Why can't I watch this? And so, me being myself, I started to break some of these rules, just out of curiosity. But here's the thing about sin. It's so easy to do, and it fits the human side of us so well that when you want to get out of it, unless you turn to God, it's almost impossible. And so for me, it was the comfort of just staying where I was. I know I was doing bad. Consciously, I knew I was doing bad. But for the fact that it would take work for me to get out of that habit of doing bad things, I said, you know what, it's just easy just to stay. But me staying there, it was the worst decision. On the outside, I could come to CSA, go to class, do everything. I'm happy, I'm fine. Even though my grade is like in the garbage, I'm still happy on the outside, but on the inside though, it was a complete mess. It was the darkest, dirtiest I've ever felt. Sometimes I would look at myself in the mirror and not even recognize who I was looking at. There was a point in time where I didn't even want to see myself because I knew what I was doing. And I've never felt like that before. And so finally, I got to, so let's fast forward back to term 4. I need to hurry up because time's almost up. So get back to at the end of the 3rd exam. Failed that exam. At this point in time, I schedule an appointment with the academic advisor, and I tell her what's been going on, and she says, and nobody wants to hear this. She said, your best option is to CR. And in my mind, I'm going, see what? No, I've never had this happen. And so and she told me by the time I went to go see her, I had 24 hours to make a decision to CR or not. And so I've never prayed this earnestly in my entire life. I went to Gary's study hall, I sat down, and me and God had this very long discussion about my spiritual life, my grades, what I need to do going forward. God told me, he reminded me of who I was, that I couldn't escape his grace and his love no matter what I did. And so I asked God, okay, please, what do I do? What do I do? And God told me very, very clearly, like audibly, he said, stay. And so I said, okay, I'll stay. So I said, I do not accept CR. Now at this point, if I fail the next exam, like I asked the advisor what would happen if I didn't pass. She said, most likely you'll be dismissed from the program. So I said no CR, and now I'm facing the risk of if I don't pass this next exam, I'm out of SU, I'm out of medical school. And so this is either the stupidest thing I've ever done, or I have crazy faith in God that he's gonna pull me through this. So, I go home for a wedding, which was crazy in and of itself. And then I come back to, I see David, I'm playing. So I come back to SU for the rest of the term. I have exactly 21 days, and the thing is, funny thing, God actually told me to fast earlier in the term, I didn't do it. And so I had exactly 21 days, and the fast that he told me to do was 21 days, so it's like, haha, gotcha. So I'm fasting, I'm praying, focusing on God, focusing on studies, once again, change up everything. Here's the funny part. Or it's actually very confusing. I don't know which one. But I take the test. I go home for our holiday. I was scared to check my grade, but I didn't get any messages saying, "Yo, you're out." Like, I didn't get any of that. And so finally, I checked my grade, and guess what? I actually got the lowest grade I've ever gotten on an exam. I got a 62 on that final exam, but my overall grade, I think, was 71. And so this just goes to show, please, whatever you do, trust God. Don't be like me. Don't go outside of His will for you. If He says do something, please do it. Amen?
God bless you. All right, next, our second Naomi. Come on, Naomi.
Hi, good morning. So my name is Naomi, I'm also from Trinidad. So I'm going to go back to term 3, January 2018. So back then I was in term 3. We had public health, biostats, and a mind frame unit course. So it's 2 separate courses at that time. Just going to hold this. And the biostats was particularly challenging for me. So I kind of pushed the unit to the side and I failed both courses as a result. So I had to retake term 3 actually, yeah. I had to retake term 3. So at the end of June, when we were done with term 4, I retook term 3. And I had a weekend before term 5 to recuperate. So when I started term 5, I was already exhausted and trying to stay afloat. So trying to balance courses at that point was kind of difficult for me. So I pushed farm to the side and I bombed the first FAST exam, the first farm exam, I bombed that one. And then came BSc 2. So I passed BSc 2, and thankfully, and then there was CBSc to study for. So I passed CBSc, bombed the last farm final, and I had the farm completion to take. So at that point I was already running on fumes and already tired. Nothing else studying was sticking at that point. And tried to comfort myself by saying, just need this percentage to pass and get out of here. And so I took the farm completion. The next day I woke up, saw my grade, didn't get the grade I needed to pass the farm course, so I was devastated. And I was already home at that point, and I also found that my parents were separated. And so tension in the house was high, so dealing with my parents and feeling calm was kind of difficult for me. And I felt trapped, like I couldn't breathe at that point. So, and to top it all off, a few weeks prior to that, I got involved with a guy that I shouldn't have gotten involved with. And so the guilt and the pain of that kind of haunted me for a while. And I told myself that me having to retake farm was punishment for messing up my walk with God. So I told myself that for a while. So they gave me an email saying, come back and take farm, will be dismissed on the course. So I had to come back and retake farm. I had a week and a half to find a place to live, organize tuition and whatnot. And I actually found 3 apartments, so I had 3 options. And someone paid my tuition. And so I got back here, and I had around 2 farm to go. I had a plan, I would just come in, go to class, not study, not talk to anyone, and just go straight home. But God had a different plan for me. He began surrounding me with people that helped to pull me up. And I reached out to Dina, and without her I couldn't have gotten through this semester. And so farm went much better this time around. So the truth is I need to come back and retake farm, not just to learn my drugs properly, but to realize that my relationship with God needed a lot of work, and to see that He wasn't punishing me, but He really did care about me. And I struggled with depression for a few years now, and I hadn't told anyone about it. So when all these things came up, I just sank into even deeper depression. And so this semester has had its ups and downs, and at times it was difficult to study. Not because the material was difficult, but I just didn't have any motivation to study. And so I tried to muster up a strength I had, come on campus to study, and even being surrounded by people that was studying still didn't help. And at that point I felt like I was completely stripped down. So I turned to God and I finally said, I need to take you through this exam because I don't have the strength to do it on my own. And sure enough, lecture by lecture, got through the material, everything went well. And I realized that I was running on my own intuition all this time and just doing my own thing, including God in the mix. And He said to me, all you have to do is trust me. All you have to do was ask. You've been trying to figure things out for yourself all this time. And it was then I realized that I had forsaken that once intimate relationship I had with Him and I returned to him when I was in deep waters. So a few things I've learned over the past year. First thing, his ways are always higher than our ways. So I need to be back here and experience all of this to grow in my relationship with him. I remember going to Dina at the beginning of the term when I told her what was going on on the verge of tears. And she literally looked at me and said, "God is good." I was like, what was she talking about? But it's true, God is good. Second thing I learned, every trial and every unexpected turn has purpose. He's not a cruel God that punishes you when you mess up. There is some purpose in your suffering. Third thing, having an intimate relationship with God and knowing your word is crucial. So when you know what you know, no one can come and manipulate God's word to get what they want from you. And last thing, when you're in God's will, He always provides for you. So I'm not perfect, I'm still a work in progress, but I'm grateful that me having to come back here has only drawn me closer in my relationship with Him. So I'll just close with one of my favorite scriptures. It's 2 Corinthians 12:9. And He said unto me, "My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me."
With 3 seconds to spare, wow, that was awesome. That was just so good. Renee.
Praise the Lord, CSA. So like I said, David said, my name is Renee, and I'm not going to pick on you term 4, don't worry. So what I just want to do is encourage anybody who might be feeling like I'm tired, like I am feeling, which is tired, as I slipped out there and said already. So one thing that I feel as though no one gave me the prep talk coming into medical school is they let you know it'd be strenuous with the studying, but they never let you know the strain of maintaining an energy level physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. It is exhausting. And that's not just for medical school, that's everything. And the problem that I had with that is that I thought I figured it out. I thought I figured out how to navigate this fatigue that I felt occupying this calling that seems to far exceed the capacity, my own limits, my own capacity. Like, this is really big, God. How am I supposed to walk this out? So I thought I figured out how to do that. I'm in term 5. I've been here for 2 years. Like, don't I have a handle on this? And the reason why I felt that way is because I just overcame something that seemed like an impossible mountain to climb, which for me was the BSE too. As I was climbing that mountain, oh my goodness, I didn't know where my feet was landing sometimes. Lord, is this what I'm supposed to study? Is that what I'm supposed to study? I don't know, Lord. Just make some sticks so I can take this exam. And as I was doing that, I just had to lean on God. I had to trust God. I had to believe that this is what He called me to do. This is where He had me. So I had to have faith, and He won't fail. He's never failed me. And when I made it to the other side of that mountain, I was so relieved. I was so grateful. Praise God. We did it again. Yeah, Jesus, we did it. And I'm on the flat land, and I'm walking, and I'm like, this is so awesome. All glory be to God. And then another mountain pops up. And I'm like, wait, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I thought I prayed all the right prayers. I thought I had all the right praise and worship. I thought I cried all the ugly tears for the last exam to carry me through this next one, but I'm exhausted. And I could literally feel myself like falling apart at the side of this mountain. And I realized that I can't focus on the mountain. I can't look at the mountain. Not to say that I was going to neglect my need to study or what I need to do to prepare myself for the next test and the next one that's coming up in a few months. But I just couldn't focus on it. Because when I focused on the mountain, that meant focusing on all the possible outcomes for failure. It meant focusing on how difficult it was the last mountain that I came over. It meant looking and seeing people who just seem to be scaling over that thing, not breaking a sweat. And I'm just like, well, I'm struggling, I didn't even get there yet. So I realized that I can't focus on it. I had to do what has helped me, because none of that helps. And what has helped me is when I take my focus off of the mountain and all the obstacles that keep me burdened and have me feeling burnt out, and pull away and turn to God. And when I say I turn to God, I mean quite literally. I have a quiet place that I go to. It's not a secret, but there's a bench right there before you go up to the cadaver lab. There's like a little bench that looks at the water. And I usually go there when I'm feeling just heavy. And I put on my worship music and I sit there and I unburden myself before God. And the reason why I say I unburden myself is because the problem and the difficulty that happens when we're doing this is that sometimes this blessing that we're in feels like a burden. And I think that's a trick that the enemy uses when I feel tired and I feel weak because I'm a human and I have the capacity to get fatigued because we're not supernatural. The enemy makes you think that, yeah, it shouldn't be this hard. Did God make a mistake? If this is what you're called to do, you should be gliding through this thing so that it becomes a burden. It feels like a burden, and that's a lie. So I give that over to God, and I reaffirm to him that I trust him, that I know he's in control, that this is the plan that he has for me, that the same God that created the mountain, that created me, that created this space that I'm supposed to be occupying, that shifted and moved space and time so that I could be here, right now, fulfilling the purpose that he placed in my heart from when I was a little girl, that he was in control, and I trust him, and I believe him. And I pour out all of my stress and my frustration in that moment, in that secret place, in that quiet place. And I realized that I don't have it all figured out. I don't have the answers. I can't just copy and paste what I did for the last obstacle to get me through and use it for this obstacle to carry me through. And God does that on purpose, because I realize that I need to be wholly reliant on him to get through this journey. I need to be fully plugged into him to get through every single step. This mountain, the mountain afterwards, I can't just be like, well, I did it now, God, jump right through, I don't need you anymore, because that's what will happen. And so I realized that I need Jesus. I need to steal away. I need to find that secret place. And I encourage you, if you feel tired, if you feel worried or weary, don't let that fatigue make you feel like that's a sign of your imminent failure. Let it comfort you and remind you of the last time you got weary, the last time you got distressed and tired, and how God carried you over. Let that be a reminder that he's ready to do it again. Why haven't you let him do it? He's ready to take over. Stop trying to do it in your own strength. Let that remind you of that. So that's what I want to encourage you with. I don't want you to have fear. I don't want you to have any type of doubt. God is in control. He has you here. Trust him. Lean on him. I'm doing the same. This is encouraging me as I try to encourage you. Amen.
Thank you so much. My boy Senate. Come on, Senate. Senate is the only gentleman going to be sharing today. I don't know what's going on. Guys, I don't know what's going on. What a stud.
You guys stopped 5 West Indian minutes for long. You should see how long 5 Indian minutes. I'm kidding. Yeah, so my name's Stanif, like David just said. Before I start, I'd love to say a short prayer for you. Lord God, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, my strength and my Alrighty, guys. So for starters, I did not expect to come to a Caribbean medical school. Oh, sorry. I did not expect to come to a Caribbean medical school, nor was this my first choice. Actually, at the time I was applying to medical school, this was my last choice. But nonetheless, after applying to around 40 medical schools unsuccessfully for 2 years, I ended up coming here. In Psalm 139, the writer states, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them." So coming to Grenada, I knew that God was in control of my future, and that even if SU wasn't my first choice, that God's plan would reign secure in my life. There was also much to be grateful for. At the end of the day, I was getting the opportunity to become a physician and to get to experience 2 years of life in another country, that too a beautiful one like Grenada. Still, at first, I was a little bit confused as to why God brought me here. For starters, I'm a big fan of cold weather, so coming here was a bit of an adjustment, as I've been getting used to walking in a puddle of my own sweat every single day. But possibly an even bigger issue for me was the uncertainty of coming to an institution which does not guarantee a residency placement, and which might not lend the same amount of prestige as do some of the American institutions. However, after a little amount of time, I soon learned, however, of the reasons why God brought me here, and why he has placed this unexpected step in my medical journey in my life. In the past, I have attended numerous Christian fellowships and numerous churches, but I think that there is still something to be said about the uniqueness of CSA. We may not have a formally trained pastor, but I feel that every single Sunday, God speaks to me through his Holy Spirit in wonderful and marvelous ways. At the same time, at our men's Bible study, shout out to my boys, I've had the privilege and blessing of being able to be surrounded by wonderful and amazing men, and to be encouraged by them, and to live life and live medical school alongside them. As amazing as CSA is, however, it's not the greatest blessing that I've had over these past 2 years. My greatest blessings over the past 2 years have been the grace of the Lord, the joy and peace from his Son, and the fellowship of his Holy Spirit. Over the past 5 terms, God has shown me that no matter what, I truly need to seek him above all else, no matter what the circumstances are. Having uncertainty regarding future residency placement only drives me forward to seek his peace more and more. And he's also showing me that my joy does not lie in my occupation or in my degree, but instead in his salvation. And that's something more important than anything this world can ever give us, and something which I cannot earn for myself, definitely. Therefore, I can wake up every single day knowing that God's love for me and the assurance of his salvation are good and perfect reasons for me to face life with eternal joy and peace. This is not to say that we should give up hard work. I would definitely be lying if I said that I spend more time with my Bible than my textbooks, or more time on my knees than at the library. But at the same time, oh, sorry, the printer only printed out the first page, not the second page. Let's hope I remember this. So, nonetheless, at the same time, being able to put my faith in God and being able to seek him above all else in my life, in fact, drives me to study harder and harder every single day as I study. At the end of the day, I realize that I'm here learning about God's creation, learning about how to serve him better, to serve his people better. So using my faith actually helps me to strive to become a better doctor and strive to study harder and harder. I had a good quote written down from Thank you. So I had a really good quote actually written by Charlie Chaplin, one of my favorite actors and filmmakers of all time. And basically, to paraphrase, so Charlie Chaplin is not a Christian. He doesn't believe in God. But still, he made an interesting statement about faith, saying that faith is the reason why we have science, the reason why we have mathematics. Faith is the reason why we choose to pursue our passions and choose to pursue the betterment of humanity. And something that I've learned from that quote, something which God has been showing me over the past 2 years, are that school and faith are not mutually exclusive. That while, of course, I need to put God first always, at the same time, I need to make sure that whatever I do in school, however I study, is because I am motivated by him and motivated by his love. And this hasn't always been easy, you know. Surrendering myself to God has meant, surrendering my weaknesses, surrendering my faults, admitting that I'm not perfect. But at the same time, that just allows me more and more to embrace his love, to embrace his confidence and his joy every single day. And so, I also included a verse from Matthew chapter 6. I forget that one, but let's see. Another good one which could basically sum this up is, the verse is, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you as well." And I wanted to encourage you guys with that, just because at the end of the day, if you put God first, he's going to be in control of every single aspect of your life. Putting God in control does not mean, letting go of your studies or necessarily becoming a bad student. Putting God first means having the peace to go about every single day and to study for him. Amen. Elizabeth, come on up.
morning, CSA. So my name is Elizabeth, for those who don't know me. And I'm not a great public speaker. Like, my heart is beating so fast right now. But I'll try my best, and I'll try my best to not go over 5 minutes. So, in Term 5 Med, and to give you guys some background about my relationship with God, it was something very superficial. I started a relationship with him very early on my life. However, it was just something like a checklist. Yes, I go to church every Sunday. Yes, I attend some Bible studies, but it was nothing really more than that. And because there were so many other important things in my life, Lord was not my priority. Friends, families, relationship, and especially the grade. Grade is something that was so intrinsically bound to me. It was like my self-esteem. The grade itself was what I kind of defined myself with. And the problem with that is that if you start to define grade as who you are, it can fail you. Like, no matter how much effort you put in, you might not get that 100 you want. You might put in so much effort, but you might still get like 85, and you might be really frustrated about how it turned out. And I'm talking about the grade, but also it applies to everything else, that you might put in so much effort for this relationship or to comfort this friend, but it might not turn out as you want it to be. And I started to get really frustrated with everything, and that especially became really bad when I was in undergrad. So I tried to seek out for something new. I tried to like go into the parties, I tried to go to the bars to meet new friends and new people, but none of that really mattered. None of that really comforted me. And I remember this one night, like 3 in the morning, coming back from the bar, and I was walking back to my dorm. And then as soon as I walked into my dorm, I just started bawling. I fell down to the ground and I started bawling because I knew something was wrong and I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know where to turn to. And that's when I started locking myself back up into the dorm because I felt like nothing can help me, and I just was very lost. I somehow was able to pick myself up really hard and slow and graduated, but and then I applied to med schools, got all denied, and I finally came down to SGU. And it's really hard to admit this, but I feel like the main reason I came down to SGU was because I really needed to prove myself that I wasn't a failure. If I didn't came down here, I felt like I would just shatter into pieces and wouldn't be able to pick myself up. And when I came down here, yes, there was some adjustment period during term 1 and so on, but I felt like I was doing fine. My grades were going up, and I was like, yeah, this is working. And I came to CSA every Sunday, and I was like, okay. But then I made a mistake again. As I was going through that, I was thanking the Lord and everything, but I thought I was still in control. I thought I put in all the effort. I was working so hard to get this grade. So that's why it was showing on my grades. But that's really not the truth. And I'm so sorry for term 4 to be coming again. But it is a hard term, and it was for me too. So term 4 came, it hit me really hard. Like, not only grade-wise, but just emotionally and just everything in all circumstances. And the worst part was I was so afraid and I was so scared that my grade was falling because I was the one in control. I was the one putting in the effort. So seeing this fall down, I was like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I so lazy? Why can't I study harder? Why can't I stay up till like 4 in the morning and then wake up 6 a.m., like 2 hours and just go on and go on and go on? Why can't I do this? Why am I not capable of that? So I got really frustrated, and I fell back into my undergrad mentality that I locked myself back up. That is a bad choice. And I stopped coming to CSA. I literally just pulled myself away from everything except going to classes in small group because I only had limited absences. That was the only reason I was getting out of my room. And that was not a good choice. And one day I was lying in my bed and I was telling the Lord, why is this so hard? Why? I've chosen this path. This is what I want. I want to be a doctor. Then why is this so stressful and why is this so hard, Lord? I just couldn't understand. And that's when I asked him, help me. I need your help. I really, really do, because I don't even have strength to get out of my bed right now. I just can't do anything because I'm so depressed. And you need to help me. And that's when he told me he loves me because I'm just me. Not because I got an A's in my grade, not because I'm doing so well in school. He just loved me as who I am right now. And just hearing that, I realized I made him wait for years outside in the cold, not at the center of my heart, but just somewhere there. He was just, I was thinking that he was just like walking with me, but he was not the center. And I never invited him truly into me. And I felt so thankful when I just reached out. He just took me with no condition, without any questions, with just unconditional love. He just took me. And that's when I surrendered. That's when I gave up. My life was not just about me. It was about him. It was about him taking control. It was about him being the center. Thank you, guys. It was about him being the priority in my life. And actually, I was really hesitant on giving this testimony because I'm not perfect. I still see all my flaws. Even throughout this term, I had ups and downs. I still see my negativity side. I still see all my sins. Yet, because I'm so imperfect, I think this can show how powerful and just how great his love is and how forgiving and generous our Lord is, our God is. And I'm just so thankful for this, and thank you for listening.
Let's give the Lord a hand. Thank you, Lord. I didn't ask the people who shared testimonies today if this is okay, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think they would be happy if any of us wanted to approach them privately to talk or to share our hearts with them. They would definitely be willing. I think I'm speaking on their behalf. Yeah, I'm getting a nod from one, so that counts majority. Okay. Maybe not majority, in my mind. When Christ is with us, we're the majority. Yeah. I know we're kind of time, so I just want to honor some individuals and then introduce the new e-board. So could I get first Leon and Adina to come up? I don't know. Yeah, come on up. So, she's getting the one for Leon. She's not getting a double medal. Don't worry. Could I get Mike and Roycelyn to come up? Could I get Dr. Jacobs to come up? Okay, she's not here. That's okay. And I know, is Professor Gwen Burbank here? She's left. Okay. Well, let's give the Lord a hand for our advisors. Next, can I get the current e-board to come up? Lucas, our VP. Sharava, worship coordinator. Kara, our secretary. Wanda, our treasurer. Madeline, our ministry coordinator. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to ask each one of us to introduce the new e-board members that are going to be filling in our respective position. We'll start with...
Hi guys. Ethan Keller is going to be the treasurer for next semester. Brianne is off ski right now, so unfortunately he can't come.
Great. The new ministry coordinator is Georgina Kemme.
The new worship coordinator will be Joshua Moon. I will be continuing as the vice president.
The new secretary for next term is going to be Derek Mobley, and I think he had his Aziz name as well. Maybe.
And the outreach and communications coordinator is going to be Anthony Diftiar. I don't have medals for the new ones. You guys will be stepping in. And this is the moment I get to... Where did the Bible go? Oh. Should I forget this thing? Okay, nothing. So the next president who's going to be serving next term is going to be Sharab.
I also, the person missing a medal is David, and he surprised us with these, but I know I can speak for the whole board when I say that David is truly a man after God's own heart, and I love the fact that he's probably named after King David, because I think it's apt, because King David was a man after God's own heart, and so thank you for all you've done this semester. You have persisted, and you have loved so many people so well, and you have been Jesus to us in this role. So thank you, David.
Yes, some pretty big shoes to fill, I think, after the past few presidents, but by the grace of God, CSA will continue to grow, and the glory of God and the love of God will be seen through this campus. But just before we all go this morning, this is your last ever Sunday at CSA, if you're in term 5 or term 6 or you're finishing undergrad and leaving the island, could we just get you to come down just to hear, so the whole congregation, we can all pray for you guys? Is that okay? All right. Can you go down? Oh, wow. there's no space down here, we can go up this far. And if everyone else doesn't mind just standing up, if you feel comfortable, just reach out your hands towards everyone up here. Let's pray. Father, just seeing all these people standing up here today, Lord, each person having their own testament of your love for their lives, Lord. You've seen them so far, so through SGU, through all the hurdles that SGU has thrown at them so far, Lord. But this is not the end. You will continue to see them through wherever they may be going in the world, Lord, whoever they may come into contact with, Lord. Lord, your love will be with them. Lord, your arm of protection, Lord, your spirit will be through them. And there'll be something different about them, Lord. And whoever they meet, Lord, the Spirit of God is in them and with them, Lord. Lord, you've seen us so far, you'll continue to see us through. Whenever the troubles come, whenever the trials come, Lord, may they know that you're with them always, Lord. For shoulder to rest their weary heads on, Lord. You're a loving Father and a good, good Father, Lord. Lord, bless them more abundantly than they can ever imagine, Lord. Lord, they are your children. And we pray, Lord, as they're leaving this island, Lord, that it's not goodbye forever, it's just goodbye for now. And for all the friendships that they've developed, Lord, all the brothers and sisters in Christ that they've made here, Lord, that those will continue stronger and more fervently than ever. For your love endures forever through all eternity, Lord. Guard their hearts, guard their minds, look after them, Lord. And for everyone else also, Lord, that is staying on this island now, Lord, that they can look up to you and see that there is hope at the end of it all. But through faith only, Lord, that hope comes. So, Lord, we love you, we praise you, and we give thanks for every single person that makes up this body of Christ on this island. It's a very unique body of Christ, Lord. May that love continue. So we say thanks in Jesus' name. Amen. We love you guys so much. But this is not the end. Our worship team is welcome to come up at this point as well.
I need just. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one.
Hey guys, I know some of us have tests tomorrow and our time is running a little late. If you have to go, no worries. We're going to play a few songs now. You can stay for worship, we encourage you to. But if you have to go, don't feel pressured to stay. It's completely up to you. But God bless you. Have a great Sunday.
You are the
your will be done. Amen. CSA, have a blessed week. You bless and be blessed. In Jesus' name.